up, ladies and gentlemen? Mark Christopher of Hippie Picks here in the house, January 2021. Now, first off, the guy that I have as a guest today, you're probably already dying because you've seen who it is. So I'm not going to get into a ton of chit-chat here in the beginning, but he did say before we went on camera, he was like, dude, you look buff. He's like, yeah, shirt. It makes me look buff. Not really, but you know who this guy is. This is the grandfather of the boutique guitar picks. This actually, believe it or not, is my very first pick that I bought from V-Picks down at Willis Music in Kentucky years ago. I have so many. I love V-Picks. And I thought, what a great way to ring in the new year on Hippie Picks interviews with having one of the legend, the grandfather of the boutique guitar pick. When I approached him for this interview, I said, man, it's almost like you're the grandfather of the boutique guitar pick. And he went, I am the grandfather of the modern pick. I was like, fair enough. So without further ado, let's just cut the chit chat. You're probably like, dude, you're in a new location. I am in a new location because there was some complicated issues earlier today and I didn't get to go film in my normal, everyday hippie interview area, but here we are. You just got to roll with the punches. And if we've learned anything at all, life's about throwing your punches. It's about rolling with it and making the best of what you can. So without further ado, here is Vinny from V-Picks. Vinny, can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
How are you?
Fantastic. Very good today.
I have about 5,000 people following this channel now just because you're on.
Uh-oh. No. Yeah. I hope I don't disappoint anybody. Oh. Nice hat, by the way. I wanted to tell you, nice hat.
Thank you. I told everybody right before we went on that you said that this cutoff makes me look muscular. I'm not, but, flex the whole time, I guess.
Studly. I still think you should send it to Peter Frampton.
I will. After we get off this, I'll snap a quick shot and I'll send it to him. Yeah.
Tell him I said hi.
I will. That I will. So, Happy New Year's. This is January now when this video is coming out. So Happy New Year's.
Thank you. And goodbye 2020.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It has been a long year.
It's been a long, tough one.
So, man, there are so many questions. I don't even know where to start. So let's start at the beginning. You're the grandfather of the modern guitar pick.
I guess so.
You guess so? Quit being modest.
I guess so.
You're a musician, obviously, yeah?
All I ever wanted to be was a guitar player. That's all I ever wanted to be.
So are you in a band?
I'm in a little three-piece band right now.
Nice.
They tried to make a rock star out of me in the year 2000. They put me on the road, and all I ever wanted to be was a rock star until I became one.
What happened?
It wasn't fun anymore. It was just, I don't have the ego that it takes to get up in front of 100,000 people. I just don't have it. I have the want to do it. I love to play guitar. I love to sing. I think I have the talent, but I just don't have that ego to walk out on the edge of the stage in front of 100,000 people and throw my head back and play my guitar. It just wasn't there.
Yeah, fair enough. So that was in 2000, yeah?
Yeah, that was in 2000.
How long did you tour?
For about a year and a half.
And then you were just like, nah, I'm good?
Yeah. It just fizzled out, and it was fine with me. We had a song on the radio, on smooth jazz radio, and that did okay. Didn't do great, but it did okay. Back when smooth jazz was cool.
Yeah.
And when that fizzled, we just let everything fizzle. And we kind of imploded too. My manager, my road manager, and the band, we just kind of imploded.
Yeah, you guys were like, done. This is over.
So did the Beatles, you know. It happens to everybody sooner or later.
Yeah, that is
The
true.
Beatles can't stay together. If the Beatles can't stay together, who's going to stay together? ZZ Top and the Stones. I guess that's it.
Yeah, that's about. I was getting ready to name drop the Stones. I was like, they've been around forever.
Yeah, ZZ Top and the Stones are the only two that did.
The band that you're in now, is this just for fun with buddies?
Yeah. We're a three-piece. We all sing lead. We all sing background, bass, drums, and guitar. And I double on acoustic guitar and lead guitar and electric guitar. I do most of the lead singing.
Okay.
When I was a kid, I used to have one of those real high lover boy voices, Mickey Thomas and all that.
Yeah.
It's lowered a few steps since then, of course.
Gotcha.
Everything I used to sing in G, now I sing in E, you know.
Yeah.
But I think we all do that.
Yeah. It happens. It happens to the best of us. We all can't be the high pitch.
No, not all the time. Mickey Thomas still is, though.
Yes.
He's still there.
Yes, there are a few that have maintained it, and I applaud them. But then you see some of the guys that are just like, okay, you're trying.
Yeah.
Well,
they get what I call old man's voice.
Yeah.
They get old man's voice, and really, I think that they should cash in when they do that.
But they got to make a living, and that's all they know.
Paul McCartney's already made a living. Does he have to make a living, you know?
No, yeah, I fair enough. I see your point.
Yeah.
What got you into playing guitar when you were younger?
Well, it wasn't the Beatles like a lot of people think. But I loved the Beatles. I adored the Beatles. It was Creedence Clearwater. I heard that song, Run Through the Jungle. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. I think that came out when I was a freshman, I think. And I said, wow, I want to do that. That blows wind up my skirt.
Yeah.
And you know, it's kind of funny. I didn't even learn that song till about 5 years ago.
Oh, just 5 years ago?
That's the song that made me want to play guitar.
Dang.
But I was sitting in the studio about 5 years ago, and I was noodling around, and I figured it out. Can you believe that?
Yeah. That's crazy.
It is. I told you I was disheveled and unorganized. I told you that from the beginning. So.
Yeah, well, it's fine. You know, we just roll with the punches. You know, this isn't my normal location that I normally play in either. So
it's not your normal shirt either.
Peter Frampton.
Wow.
I've seen him live a few times. He puts on an amazing show. Amazing guy.
Yeah.
Amazing guy.
Peter's a good guy. I know Peter.
When you played guitar, you were a freshman. You said you started as a freshman, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And so walk me through the process of what led you to, first of all, discovering the importance of playing with the proper pick.
Okay. I started with Creedence, and then I got turned on to Alvin Lee from 10 Years After. Woodstock, yeah, I'm going home, yeah.
Yeah.
And then somebody gave me a Santana Abraxas album, so then I got heavy into Carlos. And somewhere along the line, and I don't know where it was, I started picking everything with an upstroke, everything. And from what I can remember, I did it because I liked the tone. I couldn't play very fast that way, but I liked that. And then I became a bass player, and I toured the United States at 7. I was like 17. My mom had to sign a piece of paper so these renegades could take me off. And, you know, I toured the United States as a bass player, and then came back, and I stayed playing guitar, never really again to become a bass player. And I think that's when I started picking everything up an upstroke. And then I just used to, I was never happy with the guitar pick. I just wasn't happy. They weren't comfortable.
Yeah.
they just sucked. But that was all we had, you know. And so I would pick up pieces of wood on the ocean and maybe a seashell. I would use metal and just try different things. I honestly don't know what drove me to do that, other than it was fun, I guess. And I was one of those kids. They basically just graduated me to get out of school. I was the kid that, yeah, I was the kid that was always got the class in trouble because I was looking out the window. And so then the teachers would close the window shades and all the other kids would look at me and go, thanks a lot. I was that kid. And I never played by the rules. And I never really, I mean, if somebody told me that stove is hot, I was the kind of kid that would touch it because I didn't listen to anybody.
Okay.
I've decided I'm one of those persons that I pretty much believe you should be looking out the window more than looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And if we looked out the window as much as we looked in the mirror, I think we'd learn a lot. So anyway, and then I got married to my wife, and you know, I was a guitar player, and we didn't have much money, and I was into saltwater aquariums, and this was in the middle of the 70s, and that's when they just came out with those plastic acrylic tanks. They called it plexiglass. That's not the name of the material. That was the brand, I found out. And they were beautiful aquariums. And so I was fascinated with that material. And one day, and then again, I was always playing different things. And my friend was playing a pick called a stone pick. It looked very much like this. Very, very, and I have a story about this pick, but
okay.
It looked very much like this pick we call the Farley. And there was an article in Guitar Player magazine, there was an ad, and it said, I guarantee I can play faster than you with this pick. That's what the guy that designed that pick. He's dead and gone now, but you called me the grandfather. He was the great-great-grandfather of boutique picks. I don't remember what his name was, but the name of the company was Stone Picks. And, but the bad thing about them is you drop them on a tile floor and they go into a trillion pieces.
Okay.
So I was walking through a not department store, a hardware store called Orchard Supply. And I don't even think they have them out here in Nashville. And I saw this piece of clear acrylic. And I recognized that was what my aquarium was made out of. So I snatched it up. I found out later it was 2.75 millimeters thick. Took it home. I don't really know why, but I made it this shape right here. This is my Ed King model, but I made it, this is exactly the shape that I made that out of. And I started playing with that thing. And I was in a band. We were real popular. Like when we'd play, like 1,600 people would show up to this place. It was us and another band named Wild Turkey. And we played every other set back and forth. We all became very dear friends. We weren't rivals at all. But like 1,600 people, and the fire marshals were always complaining, hey man, that's way too many people in that building. But they never shut it down. But it was the 80s, you know?
Yeah.
It was cool back in the 80s. And so I take these things and I play them at that gig. And then I worked in a garage during the day. And this kid named Jocko, he used to clean the shop. And I showed him to him. He goes, wow, I have shop class in high school, and I can take those and buff those and make them buff those for you. I said, what does that mean? He says, well, this edge that you leave on there, it's real scratchy. He says, I can buff those and make them real clear for you. I said, okay. So I gave him like a dozen of them, and he took the shop class and buffed them for me. I didn't really like them buffed, but my bass player friends and different people did like them buffed. And, but I basically played them with the real scratchy, white scratchy end. That's where the ghost rim idea comes from, is 1980.
Okay.
And that's why we have a pick called the 1980. I make that pick exactly. It's really rough. And I latched onto a couple guitar players. Brian May from Queen. I loved his sound. I knew that there was a lot of noise in his sound. I don't know Brian, by the way. I wish I knew Brian. Ed King from Leonard Skinner. I was very into Leonard Skinner. And I knew that there was more pick noise on Sweet Home Alabama than there was guitar tone. If you listen to that solo,
Yeah.
there's so much pick noise on there. I mean, it sounds like he's dragging a rake over his guitar. And then Barry Bailey from Atlantic Rhythm Section. You know, I am so into you. You know, that song, that's Barry Bailey playing guitar. Yeah. And I know that those three people had a tremendous amount of pick noise, and I love that. So that's why I continue to play with the real scratchy picks. I made them for my friends, and I buffed those. Jocko would take them to high school and buff them for me. But mine, I always played just as noisy as I could get them.
Yeah.
And then Eddie Van Halen came out, and I didn't like Van Halen. I was not a fan. Don't get mad at me, world. Just not a fan. I liked guitar players like Don Felder from the Eagles. And, you know, I never got into that. I never got into that.
Yeah.
To me, it sounded like a turkey gobbling. Doesn't that sound like a turkey gobbling?
Yeah.
That's what that sounds.
When I was a kid, I liked one song, and as I continued in my guitar playing, I was like, yeah, he's okay. I'm not on his level, but I never
he really is a fabulous guitar player.
Yeah.
He's an excellent guitar player, and I've never gotten to meet him. Do I have time for a real quick funny story?
Absolutely.
Somebody called me the other day, and he was really distraught because Eddie had died. And he said, you know, Eddie's the reason that I started playing guitar. And I said, can I say something funny to you? And I said, I would say this to Eddie, because I waited to meet Eddie. I never got to meet him. I mean, I know everybody. Carlos is a friend of mine. Billy Gibbons is a friend of mine. Phil Kagi. I was always going to say, Eddie, you're the reason I quit playing guitar. And I know, because I know a lot of people that know him, he'd have laughed his butt off.
Yeah.
The guy had a great sense of humor. Yeah. And he had everybody worshiping. And here's going to be this little fat Italian guy saying, dude, you're the reason I quit. And he was, because everybody I was a producer in a recording studio at the time, and I was a guitar player, and everybody was asking me to do that stuff. Everybody, because when he came out, you couldn't give a Les Paul away. You couldn't give a Strat away. I sold a custom Les Paul for $300 after he came out playing those hockey stick guitars.
Yeah.
You couldn't give a Les Paul away. And I started playing saxophone. I just sold my guitars. Because everybody's asking me to do that. And I said, no, man, that's just not me. I'm not that kind of player. And I saw it going that way. So I sold off all my guitars. I bought saxophones. And I played saxophones for about 5 years. I became kind of successful doing it. I did some pretty big shows. And I never became good. I think I sucked. But then this country band hired me. You know, country was kind of becoming kind of cool. And they were doing some pretty cool guitar stuff, you know, when the different bands that had come out. And so I was hired as a guitar player. Actually, I was hired as a saxophone player. And I said, you know, would you mind if I bring my guitar instead? Because I said, because I'm a much better guitar player than I am saxophone. He said, good, because you suck at sax. That's what the leader of why was going to hire me, I don't know. So I did. I brought my guitar that night. I only had one because I'd sold them all off. And I started playing guitar again. So now I'm back into the guitar business again. And I completely forgot about those picks that I made years ago. And I started doing the same thing over again. I started picking up seashells on the seashore. I started grinding down coins. Same thing, because guitar picks were crap. And then one day, my daughter and I were cleaning our house. No, we were getting ready to remodel a house. And I was cleaning out this closet. And I found a little satchel, and it had one of those old guitar picks in it. And I said, Audrey, Audrey. And I held it up. There was one just like this, only it was clear. I wish I could.
Okay, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah. But just like that. I said, Audrey, Dad made this thing in 1980, and I don't know why I ever quit using them. And it was really rough. And so I started doing that. Well, a buddy of mine, very dear buddy that broke my heart about 3 years ago, he passed away. Just broke my heart. He and I were making picks together, just experimenting with coins, and we were doing coins with our birthday, and just having fun in his garage. And I took it to that afternoon. I took it over to his house, and he was just flabbergasted. He said, "You made this thing in 1980?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Wow, it's 2004 now. This thing's been sitting that long. It's kind of discolored, I said, "Yeah." So he said, "Well, you should start making them again." He goes, "What are you going to call them?" And this, I really think, is what sold them. A name. A name is what you have a great name for your picks, Hippie Picks. That's a fantastic name.
Thank you.
A name makes people. Names are so important. He says, "What are you going to call it?" And I said, "Geez, I don't know, John." His name is John Dean. I said, "I don't know, John. What do you think?" I said, "What, Plexi Pick?" That's what because as far as I knew, I didn't know it's called acrylic. I thought it was called plexiglass.
Yeah.
And he goes like this. He held it up. I can remember his face. He goes, "V-Picks." He did. That's what he did. That fast. I mean, it was within 5 minutes of seeing it. He just went, "V-Picks." And I thought he called them V-Picks because they were shaped like a V. It wasn't but 3 months later that I realized he called it V-Picks because of Vinni.
Yeah.
Or Vincenzo. My name's Vincenzo. And that's how they got their name. And I honestly believe, I really honestly believe that if they weren't called V-Picks, I don't think they'd be as successful as they are. Just Johnny did that, And one time I called him up and I said, "I got a 3-piece band. I'm just starting a 3-piece band. What kind of music do you play?" And I told him. I go, "What should we call it?" He said, "Bad Triad." I said, "Is that a name that you have?" He goes, "No, I just made it up just now." What kind of a mind comes up with stuff like that,
This dude
Isn't that an awesome
marketing and advertising.
Yeah, isn't that an awesome name? Yeah. Bad Triad.
Yeah.
And the band that I'm in right now, that we call ourselves Bad Triad, kind of in honor of John.
Yeah. Nice.
So that's how they got started.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to talk to you about your designs, but first I want to kind of give you a backstory, if that's okay.
Yeah.
When I was a kid playing guitar, I 100% agreed with you. I hated guitar picks, couldn't figure out why. They would bend, they're flimsy, they would curve over, and I always had issues. And I remember I was 18 years old, and I was at a place called Willis Music in Florence, Kentucky.
They sold a lot of picks for me.
I'm getting there. Don't worry. I saw Michelangelo Badio at a guitar clinic, right? And he's playing, and he throws a guitar pick out, and I catch it, and it's thick. And I was like, ugh, because I'd never played a thick pick. And during the question and answer portion, I raised my hand. I said, "Hey, I have a question." It was more like, "Hey, I have a question," because I was younger then. But
yeah.
I said, "This is a really thick pick. Like, how do you do that?" And he said, "Do you play with thin picks?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Is it really difficult for you to actually play something you can play with a hard, stiff pick?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Thin picks go like this, and there's no control. But a thick pick goes, chua, 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 like precision accuracy." He said, "Buddy, it takes time, but it's well worth it." I was like, okay. Never batted an eyelash about it. Until years later, I was at Willis Music again in Florence, and came across, this little guy, the mummy.
Yeah.
And I said to the guy, I said, dude, that'll cut your fingers because it's all ridged, right? And he said, no, well, I'm squeezing it and I can feel it in my fingers. And I said, this is stupid. Like, there ain't no way. And he said, this will make you a better player. I was like, yeah, right. He goes, buy one. And I'm like, no. He said, buy one, and if you don't like it, bring it back. Okay.
Wow.
The next week, I bought them out of the mummy picks. Okay? Now, here's the deal. I play now, because I used to be a musician as well. I used to do a lot of different stuff. But one thing I do now is I play in church. And there's one song we play that every time I play it, I use the dimensions pick. And people say
that's an old style right there.
Yeah, and people say, how in earth are you playing that fast? And I said, it's the pick. And they go, no, it's not. I said, listen, I can't do that with any other pick. Like, this is and one time I showed up and forgot this pick when we were playing that set. And look, I'll be 100% honest, man. I was playing on my pick and it was not as speedy as this. And I'm like, it's in the picks. And that was the first time I ever realized, okay, like, the picks have something to do with your playing.
Big time.
So how did you determine? I mean, I have 4 picks right here, viewers. I have the snake, drop it, the mummy, the dimension, and the chicken pick.
Okay.
How do you determine your shapes? And how is it that each one of your shapes always gives different enhanced playabilities depending on what you're doing? Like, I mean, you seem like a mathematician genius, like,
people
calculating this out.
People think that I am, but I'm not. And I can't answer this question completely because I know what the rules of your show is. But I'm just going to say that somebody gives me those ideas and I wake up with them in the morning.
Okay.
Is that fair enough to answer it that way?
You can, okay, if in the rules it does say if it's part of your branding, that's fine, because that's part of my branding. So, I mean, if you feel the need to say anything, that's fine.
Okay. I'm not putting myself above anything or anybody, but I believe that God gives me the ideas and puts them in my head.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. And where do they come from? I drive down the street and things just pop in my head. They just do. I don't know if I'm dyslexic, but I really mess up numbers really bad, which is why we don't customize picks for people, because I have a terrible time getting them to the exact specifications that they want. Things look, I don't know if my mind's going too fast, but things look different to me than they turn out. So I've learned long ago to not customize anything, because 8s look like 2s and 5s look like 3s, and I can look at a 2 and say the number 8. That's just me. And so no, I'm not that brilliant mad scientist that people think of. And I've been accused, oh man, you're Vinny. Yeah, well, and here's my thing. Even a clock that doesn't work at all is right twice a day.
Yes. Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And that's the truth. So I mean, and some of I don't wake up every morning with an idea, and not every single pick did I wake up and have that idea. Maybe the triangle. I don't know where I got that from. When I made a pick, when I first made them, I had to draw it out and I had to cut them out with a Dremel saw. I mean, it's a wonder I didn't lop a finger off, you know?
Yeah.
So maybe it was just because it was easy to make that shape maybe that's why. This, by the way, is our insanity. That's a 1/2 inch thick.
Which, by the way, a friend of mine from the UK told me to thank you personally for making that pick. He absolutely loves it. His name's Lawrence. He loves that. It's his favorite pick.
This, in my opinion, this pick will make you a better player. And I'm 100 years old. When you get 100 years old, your body doesn't work like it used to. Your hands don't want to work like they used to. And I kind of sell this pick. Here's how I sell it. Put your fingers together like this. Just barely touch your fingers. Now just relax them and see where your finger ends up, okay?
Yeah.
Mine ends up right there, right?
Yeah.
Look.
Nice.
Look at that.
Nice.
Now, how do you want your fingers for 4-hour gig? Do you want them like this where they don't want to be? Or do you want them like this where they're completely relaxed?
Yeah.
And so, but it was just happenstance that I started making picks thicker and thicker because I didn't even know they made this material thicker until I started going to shops that sold it. And then I saw all these different thicknesses.
Yeah.
And I went, wow, if a 2.75, the mummy like you got there, if that is really good, then why wouldn't a 4mm pick be really good?
What do you got?
You know?
Which one is that?
And oh man, it's 4mm. To me, a 4mm that's a shiznitz. That's what we say here in Nashville. Well, I don't know what that means exactly, but it's a shiznitz, okay? 4mm. It's just awesome. And so I just, as I saw these materials available, I just bought them, tried them. I tried a lot of different acrylics, and there are only 2 types of acrylics that I like. There's 8 different types of acrylics. I've gone through them. I found 2 that I like. And I like the 2 because, and I didn't design this. This is acrylic does this. But as you warm the pick up, and you know this, it sticks to your finger.
Yep.
Well, yep. Darn V-Picks, thought you weren't supposed to drop those stupid things, right? Anyway, as you warm it up and you've been playing for a while and you get sweaty,
yeah,
you don't drop them.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about them turning in your fingers, because I'm a singer. I have my face in a microphone all night. And the last thing I want to do when you're playing with a pick this shape right here, you know, typical, you always have to look down and make sure you got this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I played this shape of pick, I always played with a corner. Robin Ford taught me to do that.
Okay.
And that's another reason that I went with the symmetrical thing. Looking back, that's probably a big reason I did, because I was a singer back then. So, yeah. But I wanted to say this pick right here, this Ed King pick, the Ed King model. Can you see that?
Yeah.
It says Ed King on it.
Yeah.
I miss Ed. Ed was a dear friend of mine. I miss Eddie. He was a guitar player for Leonard Skinner, played Sweet Home Alabama. He played Sweet Home Alabama with a seashell, by the way. A seashell that was 1/4 inch thick. I should have gotten it out before this interview, because he gave it to me, not the very one, but one of them, and he autographed it for me with a little Sharpie. And I have it. I put it away, and it still has Eddie's signature on it. Just EK is what he wrote. EK.
Yeah.
Anyway, when he went through, after I moved out to Nashville, I called him up and I said, "Hey, I'm moving to Nashville." He said, "I wouldn't if I were you. The food sucks out here." And I said, "Well, that's okay. I want to go to Nashville. I want, you know." And so we moved out here, and he and I became friends. And he said, "This is the pick that I've chosen out of your line, and I want you to do a signature pick for me." And I said, "Okay." Guess what? It's the very exact model that I started making to sound like him in 1980.
How cool is that?
Is that weird? Does that just blow your mind? It blew my mind. I said, "Eddie," he goes, "You got to be kidding me. I inspired you making that pick." I said, "Yes, you did." And I had no idea you were playing with the seashell. Because back in the 70s and 80s, they didn't tell you the tricks.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, they didn't tell you. Brian May didn't tell us he's playing with a coin. You know, when Eddie Van Halen first started playing, he'd turn his back on the audience when he did all that stuff so people couldn't see what he was doing. And he goes, "You got to be kidding me. I inspired that." I said, "You inspired that 100%." And it's almost this is almost exactly like that sea show that he gave me. How does that stuff happen?
It seems like it all comes full circle.
It does. And then this guy right here, the Farley. This is very, very much inspired by the Stone Pick. Oh, it's small. Stupid V-Picks. Not supposed to drop them, aren't you? It's small. And it's made by a friend of mine designed it. His name's Dean Farley. He's the one that had snake oil strings years ago. You probably heard of him. And believe it or not, he used to be a rep for Stone Picks.
Oh, wow.
He lived in the San Francisco area, and he was a rep for Stone Picks. And I don't know, somewhere along the line, we became friends. Oh, at an AM show. That's what it was. We became close friends, and then I made him this pick. And that is almost identical to a Stone Pick, only this is acrylic, and it won't break into 5,000 pieces. And he just adores that pick. He still has about 20 or 30 Stone Picks.
Oh, wow.
He could probably sell them for quite a mint. But
nice.
So that's kind of how I got. Here's my Billy Gibbons model. Billy.
Lift it up a little. Okay, there you go. Nice.
There you go. See how it has his image on it?
Yeah.
He drew, his guitar tech, Elwood, drew this.
Okay.
And we got a phone call one day, and he said, "Hi, this is Tim Montana, and Billy and I are en route to your house." I said, "Okay, whatever. What's your address?" "We'll be there in about an hour." I said, "Okay." So I hung up the phone. My daughter was doing orders with me, and I said, "Hey, Audrey, there's about a 75% chance that Billy Gibbons is coming over today." She goes, "Who's Billy Gibbons?" And I said, "You know, the dude with the beard." "Oh, okay, yeah, the ZZ Top guy," she said. I said, "Yeah." So then I get a phone call about 30 minutes later. "Yeah, this is Tim Montana. We're running late." And I said, "Who is this? Who is this really?" And he said, "I'm telling you, this is Tim Montana, and I'm in the car with Billy Gibbons. We're coming to your place. Billy wants to see V-Picks." Okay, all right. So I still didn't believe him. Hung up the phone, and I said, "Well, Audrey, there's about a 90% chance now that Billy's coming over, but I still don't believe it." So about 10 minutes later, I looked out my front window, and I had a cattle gate. You know what a cattle gate is?
Yeah.
It's a big metal, to like a 12-foot swinging gate. When I first moved on this ranch, it was kind of run down. It hadn't been lived in about 2 years, and there's cattle gates everywhere. Now I got nice gates, but I looked out, and here's Billy Gibbons reaching over my cattle gate, trying to figure out how to get the chain off so he can get into my shop.
Nice.
Isn't that just weird? You know, it's like when I first met Carlos. I had a customer call me up one day, and he said he ordered a bunch of picks. His name was David Workman, and he said, "And if you want, I have a friend named Carlos Santana, and if you want him to play your picks, give me some extra ones, and I'll take them over to him." That kind of pissed me off because it's like, buddy, if you just want extra picks, just tell me you want extra picks, right? He goes, no, I get it. He goes, I know you don't believe me, and I get it. And he said, and I totally understand if you don't send me some, but I'm just telling you, if you want Carlos to play your picks, send me some for him. So I was really, no, whatever, because right then I was making them alone by myself. It took me 20 minutes to make each one, 20 minutes. And so I'm a hot-headed little Italian sometimes. And okay. So I probably stuck. You never know, right? The time when you say no, that's your big break in life, right?
Yeah, yes.
So I probably stuck a dozen of them in there for Carlos, maybe a half a dozen, I don't remember. And about 2 weeks later, my daughter called me and she said, Dad, you got to call this number. It's Carlos Santana. What? So I called up and it was his bodyguard, Chad. And Chad said, hey man, Carlos loves your stuff. And why don't you come on over and you meet Carlos and we'll get this thing on the road. So Carlos was my first person that I don't even have his model here. I should. He was my first person that played V-Picks.
Nice.
Big, famous person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that really catapulted my business into eternity right there.
Nice.
So
it seems like it's a little bit of luck, a little bit of strategy. It also seems like you have to just sort of continue to press through and just push through. And when the right opportunity comes along, even if it sounds fake, I mean, obviously if somebody's like, we're going to sign you to a major $10 million record deal, all you got to do is give us your social. Probably not, especially if they sound like this on the phone. But I'm not. I probably should edit that part out. I'm not trying to be mean. These people are trying to make a living.
I get it.
Yeah. But like, even if it sounds weird, make that connection. And if it doesn't work out, who cares? But for you, it seemed to have been a blessing to just be like, all right, this sounds silly, but here's a couple extra picks. And now Carlos is calling you like, hey, I'm coming over to your house. I don't know what he sounds like. I've not heard.
No, he said that one day. He says, I want to come over to your house. And I said, why? And he said, well, I said, Carlos, he says, I want to see your shop. I said, Carlos, I have a laser machine in my living room and I have a pipe going out the window. That's all you're going to see.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I want to see your dogs, because he knew I had Great Danes. He knew I had Great Danes. He goes, well, I want to see your dogs. Where do you live? And I said, I live that way about an hour and a half. Okay.
Hey, there you go. Yeah.
I don't know Carlos that well. I know him. I knew his brother, George, very well. Okay. His brother, George, he passed away about a year ago. And I knew George pretty well.
Yeah. Well, we are running out of time on this interview, but I know that there is a ton of people that have started making guitar picks, even gotten into the art of loving different guitar picks other than your, free hunk of crap from your local music store. That is, whatever. There's crappy guitar picks out there. This is what this
Sure there are. And there are a lot of very good ones too.
Yes, very much so. Like
not just mine. A lot of very good ones.
Oh, you mean like that hippie pick guy? I'm just kidding.
Yeah. By the way, you need an updated chicken picker.
I do. I'll be 100% honest with you. I'll be 100% honest with you though. I didn't like
too small.
Yeah.
Too small.
Yeah, my friend Chet Surratt, who turned me on to your picks and said, go to Willis Music, get one of these. He got this one for me because he knew that I had this, but it's just too small. I'm not a kind of pick.
Too small for me too, but I made it when I moved to Nashville. When I moved to Nashville, I called them country shredders.
Yeah.
Those guys. Yeah. And they play like this, and then I do this too, but not like they do. They play with this finger and this finger, and then sometimes they'll tuck this in there like that, and then they'll play because they got this tucked in there like that, and then they'll bring it out. And the country shredders love this thing. Yeah. Chicken picker. That's why.
And it's good for like mandolin playing because I use it on my mandolin. Oh. But on my guitar, it's just where'd it go? Yeah. Oh, I dropped it. Thicker. Thicker. Yeah. I like the big thing.
This is cool. Psycho shredder for bass players. This is 5.85 millimeters thick. It's real pointy. This is not for sissies. You stab this thing yourself in the finger. I don't want to hear about it. This is not for sissies right here. This is a big boys. You got to got to get your big boy panties on when you play this thing.
That looks awesome. I want to try
that. That is a great bass pick, man. I'm not kidding. That's a really good bass pick. Oh, and I had a heart attack about 3 years ago.
What?
Yeah, I had a heart attack, and I was 98% plugged. I had a 5-way bypass. They wondered how I lived through it, okay? But laying in the hospital bed, this pick came to my mind. This pick was invented. It's called the EKG. Can you see the Can you see the design on it? Yeah. Can you see it?
Yeah.
And I originally designed it as a bass pick, but I think a lot of mandolin players are picking up on it as well. My wife said, this is a joke around our house. She said, that pick's never going to sell. I call it the EKG because that's the machine that I looked at for a week right there.
Yeah.
In the hospital. And it's just fun stuff, right?
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
You and I, if you think about it, we really don't sell guitar picks. We do sell guitar picks. What we really sell is fun.
Yes. Yes.
That's what we sell.
And go ahead.
And when we lose that vision of it being fun, I think we're not going to be successful anymore.
Yeah. When I first started, I'm not going to lie. I was making posts, just posting up photos of my picks. And I seen these guys doing live videos. And I thought, I want to do a live video, but I don't know if everybody is ready for my high energy, and that's me, right? And I was super nervous, right? And I started doing some live stuff and promoting my picks, and everybody was like, dude, I love your energy. And I'm like,
yeah,
cool. And then, so like that's part of it. Like you just, like, you're 100% correct. We do have guitar picks for sale, but we're selling this, like this is my high energy, being a part of a good family, being able to support people that we love, we care about, getting to share stories. And I'll be 100% honest with you. 7, 8 years ago, I don't even know how long it's been. When I got this, I never thought I would be in a position to do an interview with you today, right?
Well, a lot of people think that we're a giant company. We're not a giant company. My wife takes care of all the advertising. My daughter comes in and does the orders. I'm either in the shop working with, I got 2 employees, and we all grind picks. And I've quit grinding picks now because of my arthritis. I suffer from arthritis. So I quit grinding picks because I had trouble leaning over that grinder. We literally grind them on a grinder, hand grinder. I mean, the laser cuts them out to shape.
Yeah.
Then we got to put the bevel on them. I mean, this thing, when we first make this, it's just straight up and down. This hits the grinder wheel over 150 times. This is not, some machine doesn't spit this thing out.
Yeah.
And then we temper it, just like you temper glass. We temper it with very, very 1800 degree heat. And we also buff it with flame. And what that does is it tempers it. It gets a lot of the moisture out because there's a lot of water in this material. It gets that water out and it makes it very, very strong. And that's why they don't wear out as much, because we've tempered these picks.
Yeah. With
1800 degree.
I see the video. For some reason, I think it was Jeremy Camp. For some reason.
Yeah. Yeah. You saw the video of.
Yeah.
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 We've tried to do away with that video but we can't because,
why?
Because my what should I call him? One of my managers at one time, very dear friend. He's the one that stepped in and took my business over when I was in the hospital.
Okay.
Without him, I don't think my wife could have handled it by herself. He walked in and was here 10 hours a day. What kind of a friend is that,
Yeah.
I can't believe it. And when I came back, the business was in better shape than when I left. Anyway, he wasn't real happy about that video being up because he said, dude, but you see me grinding it. And I think that was my favorite dog I've ever had. His name was Q.
Yep.
I just loved Q. And Q got to live for a while out here. Great Danes don't live forever.
Okay.
And Q got to live out here at the rancho. But anyway, I remember dropping it in his water because those things were so hot, you couldn't touch them. And I'd always drop them in the dog water.
That's what you had said on the video. Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've seen that video. You reminded me of it. But that's pretty cool.
Well, listen, we have to end. I would love to maybe have you back on the show in a few months. This has been a great interview.
I wanted to ask you a question before you go. What's in your coffee cup, by the way?
Oh, my coffee cup. So, first of all, I worked at a radio station for 17 years, okay?
Oh, wow.
I was 15 years old, and I had the cojones to go in and say, hey, can I get a job? And they said yes. And I had no idea. My boss, amazing guy, he said, years later, he said, kid, I gave you one shot and thought you're either going to fail and I'm just going to have to find somebody else or you're going to succeed. And you never disappointed. I graduated up to basically at one point I was the program manager. I did a bunch of stuff there, right? And when I'd gotten there, this coffee mug was there. I was 15 years old. And the first time I ever walked into that radio station, I saw this. Years later.
That mug right there?
Yeah. Years later, I told my boss, I said, one day, if I leave, I'm going to take this. And he said, whose is it? I said, I don't know. It's been here as long as I have. And he said, whenever you leave, take it with you. And bet last year I left, right? And it was on good terms, nothing crazy like that. I moved on in life. And the week leading up to me leaving, I went, oh yeah, he said something about this years ago. So this is mine. Wow. And this is C4. I love C4. I drink C4 all the time. C4, if you want to sponsor the show, give me a call.
Do it.
Love C4. I would gladly promote your product. Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. I have one final question for you because I know that there's tons of people out watching this video who are pick makers, or already have established businesses, who are up and coming and they're trying to get their foot in the door. And then there's people who haven't even started yet but want to. Do you have any advice for anybody on any level that wants to get into pick making?
Get ready to work your butt off like you've never worked before. Because when you work for yourself, you get up at 2:30 in the morning and you do things. Not because you have to, because you want to. And it's all about showing up. Success, I believe, one of the big things of success is showing up. Just showing up like you did to the radio station.
Yeah.
And you kept showing up, And again, look out the window more than you look in the mirror.
I like that.
Look out the window, because out the window, that's where all those ideas are. They're outside that window. They're when the bird flies by and drops them in front of you. That looking out the window, That's but get ready to work your butt off, because you start a company, you're going to.
Yeah.
You're going to work harder. You're going to work harder than you ever have in your life.
Yeah.
But it's something I love to do. So I've been not working for the man now for about 12 to 15 years, I guess. Well, 2008 is when I quit working for the man.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think, should I get a real job? And I think, wait a minute, what I'm doing right now is work. I mean, what I'm doing right now, this is work if you think about it.
Yeah.
Really? This is work?
This is work.
It is, though. That's our job. That's your job now.
Yeah.
You're being very successful at it. And I wish you great success with those picks. I hope you do.
Thank you.
Very, very well. Like I say, there's plenty of room for all of us out there.
Thank you.
Plenty of room for all of us to be very successful. Because as Jim Wagner from WCR Pickups told me, he said, how did he put that? If this tip of this pen is where we live, how did he put that? Something about, and the whole world is this big right here.
Yeah.
And this tip of this pen is what you know about the guitar players. Just times that to cover this, because they are all over the world. I can't even say it like Jimmy told me. I can't remember how he told me exactly. And you know, he's right. I'm sending pics. I didn't even know there was over 100 countries in this world. I didn't know. If you would have asked me 15 years ago, how many countries are in the world? I don't know, 50, 80?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's like 200 countries in this world.
Yeah.
And I'm sending pics to countries that I've never even heard of before. Guitar players, mandolin players, bouzouki players, whatever a bouzouki is. I'm hearing of all these instruments that they're using the picks on, you know.
Yeah.
And it's really fun. It really is fun. And we're sending out 80 to 100,000 picks a year now.
Nice. That is awesome.
80 to 100,000 picks a year now. That's a lot of picks.
Yes, sir, it is.
We work hard out there.
Well, Vinny, I appreciate you taking the time to work on this interview with me, and I will chat with you soon.
Yeah, let's do this again sometime.
Absolutely. You have a great night, okay?
You have a great night. Be good.
I'll see you. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, was that not the most amazing advice ever? Listen, whatever level you're at on the pick game, if you're just starting out, if you've been making picks for 3 years, listen to that advice. This is work. This is hard work, but keep at it because this is a blast. This has been so much fun for me. And then getting to interview Vinny, it seems like all his life has just been enjoyment after enjoyment after enjoyment. And yeah, I'm sure there are probably hard times. There's struggles. There's difficulties in life. That's just part of it. But being able to overcome that and to show up day in and day out and day in and day out and continue to show up and not give up. That is the ultimate joy, the ultimate happiness. Take time to look out the window. Take time to take a risk. Do something. It may be out of your comfort zone. That's fine. You think Vinny grew up going, I'm going to be a pick maker? No. Do you think I did? No. But get out of your comfort zone and go explore that world. All you know maybe right now is just that little tip of that pen that he was talking about. But go enjoy and live your life to the fullest. Make new friends. Make new acquaintances. Make good music. Be you. I'm happy you're here. I love you. I'd like to thank John's Barbershop, even though we're not filming here today. I'd like to thank Vinny for being awesome. I think everybody loves Vinny, and everybody has a V-pick. I'd like to thank you for watching. Continue to like, share, subscribe, and have a good day. Look out the window, and seriously, C4, if you want me to sponsor you, give me a call. Seriously, ladies and gentlemen, you can do anything you set your mind to. And today's interview is just another eye-opening moment of truth from somebody who you have used his picks. I know everybody out there, not everybody in the whole world, but I've talked to so many people on this channel love Vinny's V-Picks. And here he is telling you the truth, telling you to just dream anything you want to dream. Be anything you want to be. Enjoy it. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of stress. But in the end, it's worth it to be yourself. Listen, I love you. And as always, be a hippie.